So let's go back to the service, and so this is for when you're dealing with some array of data that comes into the body. Remember, you have to map it twice, so you have to use the map operator and then change the data in any way, shape, or form that you want. So let me show you how you can do this for like a single item that's not like a collection in the response body. So let's say we want to take this user and then maybe do some manipulation like we're doing here. But in this case, it's not an array, it's just a simple user. So what we can do, we can of course call the pipe, because that's the operator that you call before you call any operator, and all other operators are gonna go inside of that one. And then we're gonna say map, and we're gonna name this user, which is the intake observable, or the source observable is gonna pass their observable to this map observable. In this case, we know we're gonna get a user. And how do we know that? Because we know this get is gonna return a user because we're deserializing this in the request. Okay, so we know we're gonna get a user. And then what we can do here is we can just return a new object of that user. So we're gonna do something like this. And then here we're just gonna say return and then a new object. And then again, we're gonna copy everything else from that user. And then after that, we can put everything else that we want. So for instance, I can put another attribute like, let's say is admin, which we've used before. And then I can set this to true or something. So this is how you would do it for like a single item inside of the HTTP response and not a collection. And this can be anything, like you can pass in any data type that you want here. So for instance, you can pass in an array. So like you don't have to pass in like a single simple data type. So let's say there's like a search key, for instance, right? So there's a way that you can search the users, and by default, whenever we get this list of users, we want to set some key. So we can just say, hey, this is an array, and let's say the first element is like the user dot name, and then the second element is the user dot username or something. Okay, that will work as well. Like we created this search key, and then we pass in those values as initial values or whatever, like string that we want to pass in here, or any number or anything. And we can do the same here as well. So we can say, hey, this guy is an admin and their search key is this right here. So let's go into the component, and on get user, we have to call that now. So get user, so that we can see something in the UI. And then here, this is gonna look exactly the same, but then if we check the console, and this is the second object, so you can see the user that one user that we set the search key for is admin is now true. And then in our list of users, you know, we'll have the search key as well, which is like an array with two elements in it. And we can, you know, do any manipulation that we want. That's just what I wanted to show you guys, you know, as far as like operators are concerned. And this is really very basic. This is the operators. There's a lot of them. And here we only looked at, like barely looked at two of them. So the tap operator that you usually use for debugging, and the map operator that you use for transforming the data. But there are other operators that you can use to change the data. And we're going to look at some more later when we're going to do some more advanced HTTP request stuff. But for now, I just wanted to show you that you can actually manipulate the data like in an amazing way, even before you send that data over to your observers. In that case, that was one observer that we have, which is the component, because it's the only component that's like watching or registered or subscribed to this observables that we have in this function.